very first YouTube video here on Divine Fire Healings, also known as The Divine Fire. My name is Haley and I am so excited to finally be making this video. I started The Divine Fire just over a year ago, and it started out as an Instagram page at The Divine Fire. And I've had the idea of turning The Divine Fire into a source of psycho-spiritual educational content. So I'm, like I said, really excited to finally be making my first video. Some of you may have come here from my Instagram page and some of you may have just stumbled across my channel. Either way, welcome. First and foremost, Divine Fire Healings is about sharing wisdom, knowledge, and guidance for personal and collective journeys of healing and wellness. On this channel, I intend to create and share psycho-spiritual educational content, combining my educational background in psychology and mental health counseling with my passion for spiritual knowledge. I act as a conduit of spirit, offering healing guidance by using my psychic and energetic gifts of claircognizance, clairsentience, clairvoyance, and clairaudience to recite transmissions from the higher realms and dimensions, mainly through tarot and oracle readings, as well as through personalized guided meditations. And if you don't know what all of those clairs are, those are different types of psychic gifts that I will be making an entirely different video about, so stay tuned for that. In my counseling work, in my spiritual community, and with close friends and family, I've been able to consistently induce visual, mystical experiences that open up recipients to higher wisdom, unconditional love, and much needed healing. I hope to create meditations that empower you to delve deeper into your spiritual journey and to seek balance between all aspects of yourself and your life. Spirit guided me to create The Divine Fire, which started as an Instagram page, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit more than a year ago, and specifically instructed me what to name it. The message I got on it was the following: the divine fire is the spark of divinity that is contained within each of our souls. It is my intention that the content I create will help guide us all back into this truth, back into healthy relationship with ourselves, with others, and with our surroundings. Before going deeper, I'd like to talk about what spirituality even is. I've noticed that in recent issues of the American Counseling Association's publication, Counseling Today, there's been an increase in articles addressing issues of spirituality and counseling, which is great. However, a lot of these articles tend to be very surface level, as the ethical code surrounding counseling practice really inhibits how deep counselors can engage with clients spiritually. Anyhow, in the most recent issue, Diane Walsh and Gillian Coate published an article entitled "Helping Clients Navigate Religious Trauma." In their article, they define religion as a shared set of practices and beliefs, and spirituality as a personal relationship to God, gods, and/or a higher power. I believe that these are relatively decent definitions of these concepts, but in experiential reality, many people's relationship to spirituality is much more complex than that. Ultimately, I bring up these points to reiterate the fact that spirituality is as varied as there are individuals on this planet. I like to think of spirituality as simply being a transcendent awareness of something greater that connects us all. When people go through a spiritual awakening, they oftentimes believe that they have to radically change their lifestyle, let go of mundane hobbies, or become something that they are not. In my opinion, that couldn't be further from the truth. The reality is, spirituality is just another layer of your perception and perspectives. You are already a spiritual being, whether you are aware of it or not, and becoming aware does not necessitate that you change your nature. It is simply an invitation to see beyond where you have seen before. Secondly, it is my hope that the content and perspectives I share on this channel inspire you to reflect on your own relationship to spirituality. I am of the belief that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience for the purpose of growth and evolution on a soul level. That being said, I recognize that Western New Age spirituality has co-opted the beliefs and practices of indigenous peoples and various other cultural groups for many years without proper respect, understanding, and attribution of those beliefs and practices. Ultimately, I believe the biggest failure of Western spirituality is the hyper-focus on self-actualization. Indigenous communities and their belief systems often emphasize the importance of humanity's connection to the earth and our role as caretakers of its beauty and resources. They also emphasize the importance of community, of connection, and of looking out for one another. Indigenous peoples are the original stewards of the earth, the natural scientists who understand the cycles of Mother Nature and the delicate balance required to maintain those cycles. Their ceremonies, rituals, and practices act as a conduit for the divine connection between earth, humans, and spirit. Colonizers have disregarded the intuitive wisdom of Indigenous peoples throughout history and committed atrocities against them in their quest for unchecked power. There's healing and empowerment to be found in returning to Indigenous systems of knowledge, but not without proper reverence and respect for the peoples who have maintained these traditions in the face of centuries of persecution and destruction. To give an example of how Indigenous practices have been appropriated, take burning sage as an example. Burning sage to cleanse and clear unwanted energies is a Native American practice that has been adapted by many non-Indigenous people without the full understanding and appreciation of the context and purpose of this practice. For example, one part of that is the appreciation towards the earth for providing the tools necessary for such a spiritual practice. I know that I have been guilty in the past of just grabbing the sage for a quick smudge without offering gratitude to the sage itself or without slowing down to connect with the spiritual energy behind the practice in the first place. It's disrespectful to expect our tools and practices to perform their jobs as if we were running a command on a computer. It also shows that we're not slowing down enough to connect with our own intentions, which is a huge part of the power and efficacy of using such a practice in the first place. Another important aspect of this example is how widespread burning sage has become, which has increased the demand of the plant, taking away access to it from Native communities. From my experience, Native Americans love to share their culture after centuries of genocide, oppression, and acculturation has threatened the very existence of their beliefs and practices. However, as non-Native individuals, we must respect their culture by being cognizant and purchasing only ethically sourced materials for our practices. Thirdly, I want to talk about my experience in the mental health counseling field. I'm currently wrapping up my master's in mental health counseling and have interned in a community clinic where I saw the realities of life for many people who spend their time just trying to survive and get through their day. Our work together could not approach the level of insight-oriented psychological work that many people think of when they hear the term therapy, simply because they had much more pressing needs than addressing their childhood trauma or exploring interpersonal dynamics. But one thing that we were able to leverage in counseling was their spiritual beliefs, their faith in a higher power that was getting them through their struggles and hardships. In counseling, we are taught a biopsychosocial approach to case conceptualization, but I was fortunate enough to intern at a site where our intakes encompassed biopsychosocial and spiritual aspects of a client's life. Most of us probably have the understanding that the mind, body, and spirit are connected, and traditional medicalized mental health treatment does its participants a huge disservice by not addressing matters of the human spirit. I see spirituality as including mental, emotional, and physical well-being, and I see the benefit that can be wrought when we include spiritual approaches in treatment. Sometimes physical ailments don't have a biological cause, but rather a spiritual, mental, or emotional one. Western mental health treatment is inextricably linked to systems of power and oppression. While this profession holds itself to ethical standards of social justice, harm reduction, and personal empowerment, in reality, it falls incredibly short of these lofty goals for the simple fact that it is situated within systems of oppression. In order to start to address some of these issues in both the fields of mental health counseling and of New Age spirituality, I believe that we are meant to connect back to our ancestral heritage, to our people's beliefs and practices, to heal the wounds left by colonialism. If white Westerners are to reconcile and take accountability for the harm that colonizers have wrought on the world, on indigenous peoples, and on ourselves, we must connect back to our roots to end the cycles of colonial violence that our ancestors have brought about and that we have unwittingly benefited from. We can do so by exploring our beliefs of what it means to be white, by appreciating and elevating the beliefs and practices of peoples different from ourselves, and by learning the cultural history of practices that we wish to adopt into our own spirituality. I hope this channel will be a resource to you in doing so, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.